Boys and girls, Halo is back! Oh my gosh, they came out swinging in the Xbox Game Showcase yesterday. And when they finally showed the world what Halo Infinite is going to look like in-game, we saw actual gameplay yesterday of Halo Infinite, and I am over the moon excited for this game to come out. I have never been this excited about a game's release. Halo's been my favorite series pretty much ever since middle school, where I got a copy of Halo Combat Evolved on PC, which at that point the game had been out for 10 years probably. It was an old game at that point. But I just so happened to find it at Staples when I was there, and I got it, and pretty much because of that game. Man, and then fast forward Halo 3, so many memories of playing at my buddy's house's split screen in that game. It's just such a good game, and I'm so happy to see that 343 are coming back strong with this year's title. Halo 4 I liked. I thought it had a good campaign. Definitely the most emotional campaign, with that spoiler alert, the ending scene with Cortana dying and stuff. That hit you right here, man. The Halo 5 came back and it was fine. I didn't necessarily have a lot of issues with it, but it definitely is problematic if you've not really read any external media, like the novels or seen any of the movies that help introduce a lot of the characters that ended up showing up in the game that were really important. And I think that's where a lot of people had issues with the game, and there were other issues that it had as well. But if we're talking purely campaign, that's I think it's probably the weakest entry in the series personally. And then when it came to multiplayer for Halos 4 and 5, I feel they're fun, but I had never really sunk a lot of time into them because I feel like they kind of made them feel more like a Call of Duty game. And they just didn't feel like Halo. The levels between both campaign and multiplayer, they just weren't anywhere near as vast as we had seen in the past. And even if you're going from Combat Evolved to 2 to 3, the levels kind of got gradually smaller and smaller as the games went on, with not a whole lot of just big battles going on. And it looks like 343 had been saying for a while that they were really kind of going back to grassroots Halo, and they were not kidding. I mean, if you're looking at the trailer, I'm going to have it playing on the screen throughout the video. When you just step out of that Pelican, it looks like you're just stepping out of the Pelican again on the second mission of Combat Evolved, where you land on a Halo ring for the very first time, and that just gave me shivers down my spine, man. It was just beautiful, and the game looks beautiful. It's definitely not finished. I think it looked fine, but I know there are a lot of people who were saying that graphically it definitely did not look finished or polished. But you have to take into consideration that this is a pre-release demo, proof of concept that here's what the game is, here's the general idea of what you can do and stuff like that in the game. And I think they just completely nailed it. It just felt like classic Halo again to me, man. They had Sprint, which a lot of people did not like in Halo 4 and 5 that they introduced. And I guess technically it was in Reach as well, but it was more optional than it was in 4 and 5. I never had any issues with Sprint in Halo. And realistically, Master Chief in the real life, quote unquote, he's not going to just be walking at one speed everywhere he goes. He is going to be sprinting to places, so to me it gives it a bit more realism. And I don't have issues with it, like a lot of people did. Grapple hook, that's new for the series. Very Doom Eternal-esque kind of vibes. More advanced movement kind of than anything before Halo 5, but it doesn't look like they have thrusters like they did in Halo 5 for that more advanced movement. So I'm hoping that they don't come back. They were fine in the game, but it's just not my cup of tea, personally. Yeah, and looks like the main enemy here in this game is the Banished, which, if you haven't played Halo Wars 2, which I haven't, but I know that they were the main protagonists in Halo Wars 2, you kind of are probably a bit lost there on who the Banished are. And then my only concern then, I think the Banished are going to be a great enemy, and it looks, like 343 really did a lot as far as the arts, kind of merging that old and new kind of art style with like the aliens and stuff and the Covenant, or I guess they're not the Covenant, we'll just call them aliens. But as story-wise goes, I'm very curious how they do end up connecting it back to Halo 5. Especially when they came out in interviews and said the Banished are the primary antagonists in the game. You can't really, like, as much as I am super excited for this game and I think it's going to be a great game, story-wise, you can't just kind of kick out and forget about Halo 5, especially when it's still part of the same Forerunner saga that Halos 4, 5, and Infinite are. So I am curious how they're going to end up fitting in with all this, especially, you know, we saw at the end of 5, Cortana essentially won and she went on her rampage taking over the world with the created. So they haven't really talked about that connection yet. All they said was that you don't have to play Halo 5 to understand Infinite, so that has me a bit worried as far as the stories all connecting together. But if we're going pure gameplay, it looks fantastic. There were rumors going around last year that Infinite was going for a more open world feel for the gameplay, which initially I was skeptical about and very worried about. Because really up until this past year, I've not been a fan of open world games, basing most of my opinions solely off of Assassin's Creed Origins, with how they handled the open world and side missions and stuff. I just did not like it, it did not click with me. But then these last few months during quarantine, I played Assassin's Creed 3, which, you know, it's Assassin's Creed, so it's going to be an open world style game with missions and side missions and stuff like that. And that one did it very well because they did not rely on you having to do side missions to progress throughout just the main story. They were literally side missions and optional quests, where in Origins I didn't really get that vibe because with how they were leveling you had to level your character up by doing missions, and it was just such a grind fest in that game. I was doing so many side quests, getting barely any sort of experience from them, and then forgetting what the main story's about because there was so much time in between each main mission because I was just filling it up with side missions that really didn't have anything to do with the main game. I just got completely and utterly lost on what was going on in that game. So I think that resulted in me putting like 10 hours into the game, and I have not touched it and picked it up since. I may go give it a try again down the road, but it is not high on my priority list at all. So then that's one of my big concerns when it comes to Infinite going open world, is relying too heavily on side missions. I think they'll do fine. I was worried pretty much up until I saw the trailer, and then once I saw the trailer and the gameplay yesterday, I was like, okay, we're gonna be okay. It's gonna be good. But yeah, I mean, the world looked beautiful. Even if it's not finished, the world looked beautiful. So yeah, music, good job. Very good ode to, you know, the original trilogy, I guess you could say. And then Reach and ODST. I guess if we're speaking of ODST, that was really Halo's kind of first forte into a more open world style of gameplay. And I know when it launched, ODST did not resonate well with people, but I think part of it was mostly because you weren't playing as Master Chief. And I'm okay with that, since ODST was kind of more of a side game to supplement Halo 2 and 3. So I'm okay with, you know, side games that feature other people in the Halo universe. Actually, I encourage it moving forward. You know, it'd be really cool to get side games featuring characters from other media. Like, if you've read the novels, or if you haven't, there's a group of characters in some of the novels called Kilo 5, and they're kind of this Black Ops group made up of some Marines, Spartan, Oni, but they were a very, very lovable group of characters, and I would love to see them in some sort of game. I think they would work very well, kind of make it like a Call of Duty Black Ops, but it's Halo kind of thing. I think it would be really, really cool to see that and see more from them. Guns looked good. Those are also seemed kind of an ode back to kind of the early Halos, even to Halo 4 to a degree. Assault rifle looked like it was straight out of Reach. We got the battle rifle back in classic form. Oh man, it looked so good. We didn't see, and that's another thing that I'm kind of going back to how I'm curious how they connect 5's and Infinite's campaign. I didn't notice any of like the created weapons there. And granted, they weren't in the gameplay at all, so there's not necessarily a reason for them to be there. But I am curious. I don't know. All of that just goes back to I'm curious how it connects back to 5's campaign. Because they said at the beginning of the trailer that this was 167 days after humanity lost. Which you could safe to assume then that Cortana was successful in her quest of world domination and stuff like that. But yeah, all in all, I am super hyped for this game to come out. Multiplayer, I didn't even talk about what I want out of multiplayer. I think Halo 3 is my favorite Halo multiplayer. Like I said earlier, 4 and 5, it felt like they just took Call of Duty and put a Halo skin on it. It really didn't do anything for me. It just didn't. It's fun. Again, it's fun. I enjoy it. But it just wasn't the same. It didn't feel like Halo, or what Halo should be. To me, they hit peak multiplayer in Halo 3. Halo Reach is pretty good too, I will say, but I have not played that one as much. But yeah, Halo 3, peak multiplayer for me. I hope that they go a little bit more back to that, and it looks like they will, just based off of the campaign level they showed, and just how vast and big that they're making at least the campaign. So I am excited for that. I can't wait to see more when they do reveal the multiplayer stuff in the coming months. And you can bet that I'll be making another video on that when that comes out. There's closing remarks then. One thing that I did like a lot in Halo 5 was Warzone and Warzone Firefight. I thought that was a fantastic mode. I was a fan of the original Firefight, and Warzone Firefight really felt like kind of the next level of that. Introducing, a player-versus environment as well as a player-versus environment mode. I think that's where in Halo 5, since they kind of detracted in the main multiplayer from big battles, that's kind of where it ended up manifesting in, which is fine. Again, like I said, I love Warzone Firefight, but I'd love in just normal MP for them to go back to those big team battles that we saw in Halo's Combat Evolved 2, 3, ODST, and Reach. All in all, I'm excited. 343, you knocked the trailer out of the park. You have completely piqued my interest. I am so excited for this game to come out. Holiday 2020 just can't get here fast enough, and you know that I'll be getting it day one and playing the crap ton out of this game. So thank you all for coming out to this just little kind of, me little girly kind of excited video. If you did enjoy, hit that like button, and if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button down below. And then hit the little bell icon so you'll be notified when I go live and upload more videos in the future. So thank you all. Have a great rest of your day, and Chief out.